Coach, I guess kind of just first question, just an update. Just saw the news come out about Sone after your press yesterday. Just an update on his status and how he's doing.
Yeah, he is recovering. Obviously, we're happy that he's able to recover because it was a really serious deal, and we were able to spend time with him early Sunday morning. There's quite a few of us in the hospital with him, and just checking on him. And his family was able to come out the very next day, and they're here with him still. And so, yeah, I've been able to spend. Yesterday, I spent about 2 hours with him, just checking in on him, and he's doing okay.
What how much is it maybe in a challenge in a way to kind of keep the team focused? Knowing that something like that is kind of in the back of their minds.
It's unfortunate. It's an unfortunate situation entirely. We brought the team in Sunday morning to address kind of what had happened, provided counseling for our team and anybody that needed it. Things like that shouldn't happen. But right now, like the details of all those things, you're going to have to continue to ask Pullman Police because there's an investigation going on, and I'm not going to speak too much about it. I'm just happy Sone's alive. He's a great kid, by the way.
Coach, do you anticipate any changes in team policies or protocols around off-field safety following this incident?
We expect all of our guys to be great citizens and role models. And what I know, I'll leave it as that. I can't speak too much about the situation. But our players are good kids, and they do the right thing. And, I'm happy Sone's alive.
What's been kind of the team response to that? Where are their heads at? Just as a reaction.
They were shook up. Obviously, Sunday was just a lot of emotion. You play a rival game and you don't perform the way you'd like, and then something like that happens. And then, honestly, I think it puts life into perspective more than. And that was kind of my message. I was obviously upset and frustrated with the loss, and getting that call in the middle of the night is scary. And I think our players did the right thing as far as the process in which they went about the whole incident, and we were there for them. And something like that could be life-altering or life-threatening. It's a serious deal, and it kind of puts the game of football on the back burner a little bit. So we talked about things as a team at length, provided the services that we felt like the players needed. We sent try to create communication with our current team's parents. We created the communication with our current commits' parents. And we did all that really promptly so that they were well aware of the situation and understood the magnitude of how serious that we take these things. Obviously, we don't want this ever to come about. This is a safe community, and things like that shouldn't happen in this town. And as of what I've known, this is, unique in a sense. And I do believe that, this is a safe community, and it's unfortunate that things like that happen.
Have you had an opportunity to speak to him or his family since everything transpired?
Yeah, I just said that earlier. I spoke for I was there in the hospital. I spent really since 2:30 in the morning to about 8:30 in the morning with him Sunday before we called the team meeting to bring everybody in. And then I spent about 2 hours with him yesterday. And I've had contact. I saw him again today. So just checking in on him and trying to be there for him in a tough time.
What was your message in that team meeting?
Yeah, it's for the team. But yeah, it was sincere. It was from the heart. This isn't the first time I've kind of experienced something like this, and I kind of know what it's like to go through it in their shoes. And I'm just happy that it wasn't, a death to this. I think the players these days are so used to seeing these things because it's what the norm is and what's on Twitter, honestly. And it's unfortunate.
For you as a head coach in a situation like this, what do you consider to be your responsibility and what's most important for you in a moment like this?
Be there for the team, connect the guys together. I think that it's a hard situation to be in, obviously, but my job is to connect the team, provide the services that we feel like they need, be a sounding board for them to speak to, and really grow and open themselves up and not feel like you're not tough or not a man just because you have emotions. Yeah.
And then for my transition to a football question, after after Saturday's game, do you feel like, with Zevi as your QB, do you feel like you're closer to identifying an offensive identity?
Well, we've been working on the offensive identity, and I can't say it's just on the quarterback position. It's collectively together. So I wouldn't just put that on one person. I feel like we had success in some capacity, and we didn't finish the job on both sides of the ball. We had opportunities on both sides of the ball. It was a little cleaner technically in certain aspects, but it wasn't consistent enough. And so I think the look of what you're referencing comes from the consistency of play, not necessarily the play itself.
You mentioned yesterday that Luke Webb is a guy you wanted to see a little bit more of, or we're going to see a little bit more of going forward at defensive end at some point,
I just
potentially.
said, like for him, he's a really physical kid, and he plays with his hair on fire. I love the kid. He's been great here. He always gives 100% look all the time and does a really good job being aggressive and physical. And so he was going to be in some of the special teams last week, and it just didn't come to that in the game, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was gonna ask kind of that physicality, that intensity. When you see a kid that plays like that at 18 years old, I mean, where does that kind of you feel like that has a chance to contribute or has a chance to get in just because of how he's going to give that 150% that you're looking for?
Yeah, I think that's kind of what we're looking for from everybody. For him, it's been a little bit of there's a scheme aspect defensively in which he has to learn before one error can lead to a big play. And on special teams, we were going to have him, run down on kickoff and be on punt return and be on KOR and be a part of the wedge, something that we felt like he could execute and be really physical at the point of attack. So I just didn't come to that, and we're going to continue to evaluate things as they move forward. But I'm happy with Luke's just ability to be a part of the team and consistently give great looks and have a great attitude about the process itself.
With the defensive tackles, obviously you mentioned Donovan going to potentially see an increased role, but how much are you kind of now have to lean on some of the veterans and the guys who have been here before, the Darians, the Mikes, the Brysons, assuming he's able to go, Sone and so on, Caden, and I guess how much does it help having that much experience to where you have 5 other guys that have played significant college football snaps? Yeah,
I think it helps quite a bit. Obviously those guys' rep count may go up now. We're hoping to have Bryson back. But yeah, Max has played a lot of football, and he's played a lot of football in this system, but somebody else will have to be that vocal voice as far as communicating certain things that we talk about inside of a game. The first sack of the game, that's Max calling it out that it's passed because he recognized the tip that it was going to be passed. So those things obviously are a big deal, and somebody else has got to carry that load and make sure they're locked in to give those that feedback inside of the game. Outside of that, I believe in the group collectively, and I think Bryson will be ready to play and have an impact.
In terms of limiting turnovers on offense, what's your approach with your messaging to Zevi? Are you, being firm about that? Are you trying not to get in his head too much about the possibility?
Well, one of them was a tip, and it was a little high. He's got to hang on to the ball better on the fumble. He knows that. That kid got a great punch on the ball. It's no excuse. He knows that. Zevi's extremely hard on himself in general, so I don't really have to be hard on Zevi. At times I need him to relax and understand that there's another play that he can make, but he doesn't need to make every single play on every single down. And then the other one, I think he lost sight of the route. He knew exactly where the route is at, and he couldn't see it because the pressure was on him, and it was forked down. And it just, obviously we didn't want it to lead to a pick six, but if he would have taken the sack, I probably would have ended up saying it's fourth down, try to make a play, and he tried to make a play. So it's unfortunate what happened, and we're going to learn from it and grow.
What did you see in terms of Zevi's leadership? When did you see that really turn the corner? After, maybe it was after you told him that.
North Texas. Yeah. That's when I really felt it. Just obviously the unfortunate circumstances that were happening in that game, and I just felt like he wasn't leading to be heard by anybody. He was leading because he cared about everybody competing and executing and having team success. And obviously Zevi has been, I don't want to be taken out of context, Zevi's always been a great worker. Zevi's always had a voice. Throughout the summer, it was more about the battle itself rather than collectively coming together as a team. And when Potter got the opportunity, obviously was upset. And then 2 days following 2 days, he probably played his best football, and he wasn't as loud and he wasn't as vocal. And then he became Jackson's biggest supporter. And I would say there, too, just as far as the maturity there without just pouting or sulking, and just the consistency in his approach and focusing on how he can impact the team when he was in the game. And then obviously, as the season's kind of unfolded, just he's the first guy in the building watching film, and he's prepping like he's the one. And I honor that. I mean, I respect that. That's humbling, honestly. And he's been great, and he's back out here leading the guys, and has been a great leader.
For Max, obviously, it's a lot left to learn about his status. But
Yeah.
would you expect him in the medical red shirt if he couldn't return this season?
I hope so, if we can get that. He's expected to get surgery sometime next week, so he'll be out for probably the season. And if he wants to do that, he's a 6-year guy. He's a veteran player. And, yeah, it's unfortunate, but he's responded the right way, and he's out here with a positive attitude the best he can, and we're gonna get better with the other guys while they're in there.
You mentioned Max that on that first sack, calling out the play and just maybe kind of his IQ. How much do you almost now lean on him as almost the third assistant defensive line coach, just knowing that he's been in this game a while and he has such an intelligent mind for it and can obviously still teach something to some of the younger guys?
I would say he's kind of like that naturally as far as communicating, even when he was playing. He's just now can't play for us right now. So, yeah, Max is a special person because his overall care for the team. And obviously, if you could see how we rotate, obviously, at D-line, we keep them fresh. So the stats that those guys get aren't like skyrocket high. And I think that's a humbling experience for maybe some guys. But at least when they're out there, there isn't loafs, and there's not a lack of effort and a miss execution just because they're tired. And if we could put 6 guys into the rotation, it allows us to stay fresh throughout not just the game itself, but the whole season, and that's the overall goal.